Hi, this is Lorraine, and I'm doing another video. If you'll give me a second to clear, center, and balance my energy, we'll get started. Okay, so I'm just going to go to my journal. It has been a very intense week, and energetically very intense. So I'm just going to start. So this is from January 1st, New Year's Day. This morning, the message came in that whatever the surface humans and their allies were looking for in the raptor territory or trying to acquire was not what they thought it was. It wasn't what they thought it was. It wasn't a thing that could be acquired. The best way to describe it was a lock, key, or code accessible only through the consciousness. There is no good or bad. There is no light or dark, angels or demons. In a past video, I shared an interaction with an energy that first presented itself as a demon. Then it removed its mask and revealed its true angelic self. He stated, "There are no demons. These energies you identify as demons provide opportunities. You can choose to engage these opportunities of darkness or choose the light or balanced energetic opportunities." Surface humans and their allies were tempted by an idea of an object that they believed would bring them power or victory. They went into the raptor territory to obtain it. And I have in quotations, the Anshar believed the same thing. They believed there was something in the raptor territory that they could acquire to fulfill their goals. There were consequences that they were warned would come. So hence the sadness I felt within the raptor collective. There was never anything they could acquire that would provide them the power or victory. So the sadness that I felt within the collective of the raptor collective was that the surface humans and other beings, even though they were warned not to come into the raptor area, came in. Even though they were warned that whatever was there was not for them, they still came in and tried to take that thing. And that thing never existed. There was never anything that they could acquire, because it wasn't about acquiring a physical object. This thing that they believed they were acquiring could only be accessed through the consciousness. And in order to access it through the consciousness, you must do the work. You must reach a certain level of awareness, of vibration, of consciousness to access the idea, thing, construct, whatever it was they thought they were acquiring or attempting to acquire. There is no power in victory, only transcendence. You must do the work. Only those who have done the work will have or have earned the privilege. You must do the work. Only those who have done the work will or have earned the privilege of transcendence. In the last video, I shared the vision I had of Merlin, the spiritual leader within the Raptor collective, within the Raptor community, communing with Mother Earth through the heart of Mother Earth. This was something only Merlin could do, an interaction only he could engage in with Mother Earth. That was the privilege provided him. There was no surface human or their ally who could acquire or execute that privilege. There was no surface human or ally who could stop Merlin from executing that privilege. There is no being or collective that can usurp the will of the divine. And so then the next entry 1-2, which is January 2nd, I woke up in the middle of the night with this thought running through my head. It wouldn't go away, and I couldn't go back to sleep until I wrote it down. I seek and find lost souls and bring them home. And then I had a list of people who have come into my life. I started getting information on who some of those energies were, or have been, or are. 3 January 3rd. I was exhausted when I got home from work. I laid on the couch and fell asleep. When I started to awaken, I could feel my chest vibrating. It was strong. In my mind's eye, I could see water vibrating, like when something heavy drops and the water in puddles vibrates. Or it looked and felt like something similar to the intense vibration that is used to sort coins. And I don't know if you've ever seen that before, when the plate or whatever vibrates and it shakes the coins and separates them, then they fall into certain holes that they fit into. It was powerful, it felt powerful, and looked powerful. But so the visions I had of the water vibrating and shifting and the coins, it looked very strong and powerful. It was powerful, it felt powerful, and looked powerful, but the association being made, or the correlation being made, was to water, the intensity and power of water. I could feel the vibration within me, but if you would have touched me, you would have felt nothing. And my daughter was next to me and didn't notice anything. So my daughter came into the room, and I was like looking at her, wondering if she could feel that intensity of that vibration. And she just came, did her thing, and walked out. So I could only describe it as it was in my chest, and it was so strong, like my skin. I could feel my skin vibrating, and it wasn't like my heart was pounding fast or anything like that. It was just a very strong vibration. And when I started to kind of come to consciousness, come out of sleep, that's when the vision of the water vibrating started. And then that was the vision I had. The coins I was just trying to create a correlation that you could relate to. I wasn't sure how many people had actually seen puddles really, or water vibrate like that, because it was just in a vision. I think I've only even seen it in movies, but the feeling I had in my chest was a strong vibration, very profound vibration that I couldn't even begin to articulate, and it was related to water. So there's something related to water, the movement of water, the flow of water. and then maybe even earthquakes, shifting, changing, modifying, and then as a result, moving water in a very torrential or powerful, unforgiving way. One for January 4th. I woke up in the middle of the night. I was on the back of a dragon flying. There were many energies, dragons, fields flying around me. Something like swarming. It was occurring around Mother Earth, around and within her field. It felt like shifting, changing, protecting. It felt like a force that was conscious and aware. I wondered if it was merely present or actively engaging. The answer was, I am present to do your bidding. Set an intention, direct that intention through will, and exact a force. This is your divine right. I support and protect you. The feeling was the dragons represented the fields of support and protection. The fact that I was riding the dragon indicated that I controlled the fields and supported. The fact that I was riding the dragon indicated that I controlled the fields of support and protection. Accessing the keys and codes around Mother Earth and within Mother Earth at Uluru gave access to the fields. The fields are symbolic, like the dragons. From this place, using visualizations helps empower intention, will, and force, but none are necessary when existing from unification. Is there a way to access unification from this place, a place where my physical form is separate from other physical forms, meaning me, Lorene, existing on this plane on Earth, visually separate from people that I see? Of course, what do you think you're doing? Separation is perception, not reality. I thought this was a good question to ask to help people start shifting their ideas and perceptions. But the feeling is you must do the work to first open up to such revelatory concepts, ideas, or paradigms before you can start accessing understanding. Those revelatory experiences begin to shift your energy field to a higher level of awareness, which moves you closer to or creates greater unification with the source of creation. As you unlock the keys and codes, you empower, to a greater extent, intention, will, and force. This is only achieved through living from a unification consciousness. A consciousness living from separation does not access, is not empowered by intent, will, force in the same way. And then the question, why? Because of distortion. Timelines. So I have 1/5, January 5th, timelines keeps coming up, and it's a term I use off and on because that's part of the vernacular of our world currently, and the esoteric community currently, and even the science community. But it's not a term that resonates very strong with me. Timelines, question mark. All these paradigms, constructs, archetypes that are being created constitute the dogma of the esoteric community. These are attempts at manipulation, attempts at creating new archetypes, criterion, constructs, ideals, blueprints, attempts to establish a framework from the physical plane by this cabal energy, primary and secondary. I do not feel that all people using terms like timelines or dimensions are evil or dark. I feel like humanity has been carefully directed and guided down a path of self-doubt, fear, insecurity, and aggression. In order to release this belief system, the constructs, paradigms, archetypes, one must awaken to divine truth. One can only awaken to divine truth through connecting with the divine. There are no timelines. There is only one reality perceived, constructed, and created from the divine, or from the divine consciousness. There is only one is needed. We are all facets of the divine. We are all elements of a whole, like different parts of aspects of a painting, but we are all one, just like the painting is wholly unified as that image or that portrait that's created. The painting is wholly one, created by one conscious mind. And every time I was going through this metaphor, I kept on thinking of Picasso. Pablo Picasso. The universe, reality, is a painting created by one conscious mind. There are no alternate timelines. There are many potential directions, realities that can manifest, that are inspired and designed, forged, shaped through divine awareness. Each piece, fractal aspect of this reality is a reflection of divine awareness. One consciousness, one awareness creates the whole of what is perceived. The belief, idea, or construct that anything is separate from the whole, the divine awareness, is merely a perception being explored by the divine source. There are no alternate timelines, just shifts in focus made by the divine, shifts in awareness, shifts in consciousness. The idea that any one person or group is shifting timelines is a perception, perspective, construct created on this world, just like fear. There are no shifting timelines, only shifting awareness. So I have a note here, and I wrote the Mandela Effect, and which is this idea of shifting timelines, but it's not shifting timelines. It's shifting awareness. It's shifting consciousness. It has nothing to do with timelines. So I'm not really sure how I can explain that in a way that people can receive. This is information that comes when you connect to the divine. You connect to the higher self, and to the higher self, through the higher self, the divine. And through that connection, you receive information about existence, about your existence, about the universe, about this world, about everything. But you have to connect, and you have to make sure you have a clear connection, a connection from a balanced place, and a connection from a protected space, so that there is no outside interference with the information, the flow of information. Because those negative thoughts are manifested, those negative energies are manifested from your negative thoughts. Okay, so when you set up these fields, it's a way to help us make sure that we are aware of that protection. It's almost like those dream boards or whatever, like you create this vision to try to manifest it into your life, right? You create these visualizations of protection to reinforce the idea of protection from this 3D plane. It helps us. Some people might use sound, whatever resonates for you. I'm very visual, so I use visualizations, but people who are into music might use sound, that vibration, sound vibrations, as fields of protection. Okay, just depending on what people who are into horticulture might envision, might use plants or whatever they know or understand about plants or plant life as a whole, right? There are different modalities, but from that place, from a clear, balanced, centered place, from a place where you know you're protected, you connect to the divine, and you access that information that helps guide you to understand the existence of humanity, the existence of the universe, existence as a whole, right? Understanding it. I can give you bits of information from my experiences and my connection and help encourage you to connect. And I would consider that more like breadcrumbs, helping you, lead you on a path that you eventually need to take up on your own, to discover who you are, why you're here, and what your purpose is, and your connection to the divine. And I'll tell you right now, it's not a connection to the divine. You are divine. You carry divinity within you. You are a fractal, but you are whole in your divine self. Okay, even though, and that is the journey that we're on, path and purpose, to discover that divinity, that source that we are. Okay, so I kept on hearing the Bible quote, why have you forsaken me? It's, something that's part in the Bible. It's Matthew 27:46. It's Jesus on the cross, being crucified, asking God, why have you forsaken me? And I kept on getting this message related to that Bible quote. And then I received poinsettias at Christmas. It was actually given to a coworker of mine, and since she wasn't coming into the office at all, she just told me to keep it, so I got it. And so I was looking at it, and all I could think of when I saw it was the blood of Christ. And I did a write-up of it, so maybe I'll put that link in the description, because I really don't want to go through everything again, but I just saw the red for the flowers representing the blood of Christ, the green representing the leaves representing rejuvenation, healing, and then I saw blood dripping off the tips, off the flowers, and off the tips, the points of the flowers and the leaves, and then I was watching the leaves turn dark, and it made me think of dried blood, and it just kind of all came together that the Bible says that Jesus Christ died for our sins, right? And that quote from the Bible, "Why have you forsaken me?" And then I wrote, "It was not God who had forsaken Jesus. It was man who had turned their back on one of their own. It was humanity who did not listen, learn, and heed the words of Jesus Christ. They did not learn compassion, unconditional love, and tolerance, forgiveness. They chose to judge and persecute. God did not turn his back on Jesus. Humanity did." So if you think about that, God did not turn his back on Jesus. God released Jesus from his body and brought him home and loves him unconditionally. And Jesus, every Christian and Catholic believes Jesus died for our sins. What were those sins? The sins were not having unconditional love for your fellow man, compassion, tolerance, forgiveness. They didn't embody those things. They judged, they persecuted, and they crucified not only Jesus Christ, but many others. That is not the will of the divine. So our sin, one of many, was crucifying Jesus Christ and not accepting him and loving him unconditionally. So I'm going to go on. The last bit about Jesus seems to contradict the statements about divine awareness, but there is a process we all must go through to be able to release the constructs, paradigms, archetypes of this reality. We must acknowledge and become aware of them, understand how they are used as tools before we can release them. This education, awareness, is a required component to transcendence. Unity, awareness, and acceptance is a required component of transcendence. One must see, know, understand their divine roots, acknowledge their inner divinity to awaken and transcend. This is an individual process. Like birth, we go through it alone. I am the creator of this universe, this reality. Everything within this reality is a reflection of my own consciousness. What are the implications of that? That is your journey. I'm going to read that again. And you can change I for you. I am the creator of this universe, this reality. Everything within this reality is a reflection of my own consciousness. What are the implications of that? That is your journey. And that is my journey. Understanding, knowing, and living with that understanding that I created this universe, this reality that I exist in. And everything within this reality is a product of my consciousness. Okay. And so January 6th, 2023, I just noted the full moons in Cancer. So I had a dream. I woke up remembering only parts of a dream. I went to 4 different places with a friend of mine that I've known since I was 13 years old, a male friend, and who actually just texted me a few weeks ago, or a few days ago actually, and asked me for a picture because he missed me. So he hadn't seen me in a while, so he asked me to send him a picture. Each of the 4 places, which I thought was relevant. I thought it was relevant that he had texted me, he was asking, trying to reconnect with me on the 3D, and just a few days later I have a dream that he's part of. So each of the 4 places were problematic. Nothing went well. It was a road trip, and the setting reminded me of driving through the Napa region, the Napa Valley in California, or parts of the peninsula in the San Francisco Bay Area of Highway 280. So that is, the peninsula is the south of San Francisco, on the west side of the bay. And it's ironic now that I'm thinking about it, because that whole area is flooding right now, or has been flooding. And that's the area that, I was raised in the East Bay, but it's very close to where I grew up. We were driving to our next destination. So we had already gone to like 4 different places, and every place we went, I don't remember where we went or what happened. I just remember that everything went awry. It was a complete debacle. We were driving to our next destination and took a wrong highway exit. We ended up in some restaurant/tavern. We had some jelly tarts that were delicious. And actually, jelly tarts were in a TV show that I was watching that were the king's favorite, Prince then king's favorite treat, right? So we had some jelly tarts that were delicious. The lady that owned the restaurant/tavern told me she would give me the recipe and show me how to make them. We went to the back kitchen area, and she had a male show us how to make them, but all I saw was him pull out the sheet of one huge pastry with a definite pattern on top. Then he cut along the pattern lines. Then I noticed that the tarts were shaped like diamonds or rhombuses. So this is, every time when I edit the videos, you can never see. So this is what it looked like right here. And then, so he cut along these lines, right? And when he was cutting, the crust was all cracking, and it was hard. And when I was eating them, they were really like not hard, but not soft. They were firm, and they were so delicious. And the jelly was perfect, and it didn't like spill out and make a mess. But when he was cutting these, the crust was hard and crunchy, and it was like it broke. And so the jelly tarts broke, and it just wasn't like the jelly tarts that I had. So when he cut the pastries, the crust cracked. They didn't taste as good as the ones I ate in the restaurant. So then I had to ask myself, what is the message? I can tell you about my journey, my epiphanies, and give you a starting place, but this is an individual journey. You cannot walk my path in order to transcend, and I cannot walk yours. Each journey, recipe for transcendence, is unique. It is a journey of self-discovery. And then my dad's cookie recipe came into mind. So I have been making cookies for my dad since I was like about 7 or 8 years old, and my whole life, and they're delicious now. They're very good. Everybody loves them when I make them, and I bring them to work, or I bring them to my neighbors or whatever. They're chocolate chip. That's all I do is really great. Well, I guess I could do other good cookies, but my chocolate chip cookies, it's my recipe, and they're delicious, and everybody loves them. But when I started at 7, they were not so good. They were burned. I used to use substitute ingredients for in the recipes. So one example I have that I always tell people is my family's from Hawaii. So when we were little, we went to the Big Island to see my dad's uncle, who's actually my great uncle, my Uncle Nick. And he took us to a sugar plantation, and they had this big, it looked like what do they call them? The things that they have the corn in the Midwest. It looked like one of those, and you threw the cane in it, and it crushes it. It crushes the cane. So on this huge metal round thing, there's all this sugar, crushed sugar that looks like it's really large granules, like brown sugar. So he gave us some of that and we took it home, but it's brown. And I threw it in the cookies because didn't have any brown sugar, and the cookies were disgusting. They were so disgusting, but my dad ate them anyway. He ate the whole batch. But if you think about it, my dad was raised on the sugarcane plantations. He ate sugarcane. He chewed on it. That was their candy. So, because he was born in 1926, he was on an island where they did not have candy bars. So, that's a flavor he was familiar with. So then when I thought about that later as an adult, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense that he would be okay with that taste. So anyway, I'm telling you that because it was a journey for me to start baking cookies for my dad when I was 7, and then my whole life I spent, one of my things I did was wanted to master the perfect cookie for my dad so he could have enjoy the cookies. Sorry. And sorry. So I think I did that. I accomplished that, but it was an individual journey, something that I did on my own. My own recipe that I created over a lifetime. So, I'm gonna keep going in the order of my journal because it goes a little bit off on another track, but it's gonna come back. So give me just a second. So actually bear with me for a minute. So then, I was watching a show and I noticed this theme of nature out of balance, but the first time I saw it was in the movie The Lone Ranger with Johnny Depp and Armie Hammer, which is a good movie. I liked it. But there's a scene where the rabbits are like vicious. They got sharp teeth and they're like eating meat. And I'm like, what's wrong with this scene? I'm like, rabbits don't eat meat, right? They eat grass. So I was like, oh, nature out of balance. And then I see, I'm watching this animated show. It's called Dota or something like that. DOTA. It's like based on a game, and there's a similar scene where rabbits are eating meat, and it shows me again nature out of balance. And then you can see this in any zombie movie when nature moves out of balance. You know, a virus takes over, something happens, and nature moves out of balance. What happens? And so the question then asks, excuse me, what will it take to move nature back into balance? Because right now, look at the world that we're living in. Everything is out of balance. Everything is out of balance. Okay? And so, if you think about what it's going to take to move this world back into balance, I think you understand that there are going to be some pretty profound events occurring. Or you can accept and receive that truth and be ready. Okay? So then later I was thinking about the dream, and I remembered the dream about the 4 places and the charts. I remembered there were 2 couples, a male and a female I didn't know, and me and my friend, we were all traveling together. But this is a friend I didn't date with. This is a friend I never dated. I was never in a relationship with. We were never a couple, but it was weird that we were in the dream paired as couples. And the other 2 people that were traveling with us, I didn't know who they were. All 4 places were problematic. Every location was a complete debacle. Nothing went right. I was completely disconnected from these people, the people that I was in the car with. I didn't know 2 of them, and the third I'd never had any type of relationship or romantic connection with, yet we were paired as couples in the dream. There was total disconnect. Then it started to speak to me about vibration, forcing yourself to be around people who don't resonate with you, and how that affects every part of your life, your experiences. So then, why did I say then it started speaking to me? Then the dream started to speak to me. Then I started receiving messages about how when we force ourselves into environments that don't resonate with us, that don't feel right, right? We're trying to hang out with the right people, or we're trying to get the right job or the right career, and everything in society tells us we should be here, but when we get there, it's like not, it doesn't feel right, right? It's just not, yes, I'm making money, or yes, I'm with, the cool people, right? Or yes, people covet my career or my pay or my car, but what is it taking for me to achieve that? Where am I? How do I feel in those places? And often we're in places that don't resonate. So I think Hollywood's a good example. I think people who are drawn to acting and being creative, or music and making music, are drawn to that. But if you achieve any type of high level success, then you are kind of forced into an environment that is pretty toxic. Okay, so you're able to do what you love, but what are you sacrificing? What are you being asked to sacrifice to do that thing that you love? Okay, so there was total disconnect. Then it started to speak to me about vibration, forcing yourself to be around people who don't resonate with you, and how that affects every part of your life, your experiences. So then the delicious chart I experienced in the dream was rhombus shaped. It had 4 points and 4 sides. Then I wanted to recreate the delicious tart, but when I was showed how to do it, it didn't taste as delicious. My dad's cookies came to mind. I have to find and create my own recipe in order to discover the things that resonate most for me. We all need to find and walk our path and purpose to draw to us the things, people, experiences that resonate most for us. Okay? So that it's just, I'm bringing together that metaphor of my father making the cookies, finding the recipe, the perfect recipe that was delicious, that I enjoyed, that my father enjoyed. That was my path. That was my journey of discovery, okay, of the perfect cookie for my dad. And so we all need to find the recipe or the path that draws things to us that resonate most for us. We have to walk our path to find the perfect cookie, whatever that cookie is, whatever that thing is that you're trying to achieve. We need to find our path and purpose to draw to us that thing that we want most, that thing that we desire most, okay? That thing that resonates most with us. Whether it's a thing, whether it's people, whether it's experiences, lives, in order to, even if you understand and believe in past lives, in order to manifest the life or lives that we want, we have to connect with the divine, seek and find our path and purpose, and walk it. And once we have achieved that, we will start to naturally, magnetically draw things to us that are meant to come to us. At the end of the dream, or after I woke up, I had a vision. A person sitting profile, and in the I saw a person sitting profile, and in their head, where the brain would be, was a shape. I couldn't see clearly whether it was a 2D pentagon or hexagon, but then it definitely turned into a cube, and the cube was spinning. So Yeah, so I saw a profile ahead, a person, and it was like this. It was like an animation, a drawing. It wasn't like a head of an actual person. And then there's a cube in it, and it was spinning. What comes? Transition in thinking, change in thinking, changing, evolving mind. So that's what comes to me when I'm thinking about that cube in the mind. The change, transition, transcendence calls to you, draws to you that which resonates with you, be it of a positive or negative nature. I am seeing it manifest around me into my life and the lives of those around me. Magnetism is great. Your experiences will show you where you are energetically. So the magnetism occurring right now on the planet is great. It's strong. It's powerful. And whatever you're drawing into your life right now will tell you where you are energetically. Because it's almost instantaneous at this moment. Because right now we're at transcendence. Okay? We're at the transition. We're at the shift. And so I have a new journal. I'm starting a new one. And I was drawn to Triple Moon, and then I was drawn to Triple Goddess, and then this journal just popped right up, and I knew I had to have it. I love it. So this is also 1/6. This idea of magnetism takes us back to the discussion on timelines. There are no timelines. There is only this moment, right now. I create this reality from the vision I create through my consciousness. I draw to me positive and negative experiences. My vision creates my reality. Your vision creates your reality. Quantum entanglement, quantum consciousness, destructive, constructive interference create components of our interconnectedness. But all these realities created by you and me constitute the mind of the divine, the awareness of existence. It is whole, it is unified, it is one. It is not separate. An arm or an appendage cannot exist without the rest of the body. It will wither and die. No part of divine awareness can first separate itself from its source, much less survive without that source of existence. That appendage doesn't exist without the mind of the divine. Divine awareness, that thought it into existence. That appendage does not exist without the mind of the divine. Divine awareness, that thought it into existence. Okay, that's a little confusing. So you can't exist without the thing that not only created you, but is your existence. Because when I give birth to my child, she's out of my body. And then I care for her, I raise her to go off and live her life. But she's meant to live separately from me, because we're still living in a place from separation. But once you truly understand unity, you understand that all things are unified always. Even though I perceive her as leaving me, she's always with me. Because nothing is separate. Everything is unified. If you try to separate yourself from existence, from the source of your creation and your existence, you cease to exist. And so that's the issue that the Zeta Reticuli are addressing right now, or the paradox. They've tried everything to separate themselves from this creator, from unification, from unity, but that is impossible. And what's happening is their consciousness is seeping out and seeping back to the source, and it will cease to exist in any way that they are familiar with. Okay, because it's they have essentially deconstructed themselves. Okay, so the housing, whatever storage facility that they place their consciousness in, is trying to contain it, but they won't be able to contain it. They won't be able to contain it because the nature of existence, the nature of existence is always to return to the source, to always return to unity, to always return to that understanding of unity. Okay? I am everything, everywhere, and nowhere. I permeate all things, unified always, never apart. So then I had a vision. It was gold. I thought they were hearts, and then I realized it was a clover, and so I drew that also right here. So it looked like, oops, what? Here on the bottom, it looked like a heart on its side. So one of them, it's just first I saw this one on its side. I guess I'll have to do a picture-in-picture. That's not really working too well. This one looked like a heart on its side, and then the other hearts kind of popped up, and then I'm like, oh no, those aren't hearts. That's a clover. And so I never even looked up the symbolism for a clover. So all I could find is 4-leaf clover, and it's not a 4-leaf clover. It's a 3-leaf clover. It was a 3-leaf clover, but I found something. Magical uses, abundance, beauty, fairy communication, gentle strength, health and healing, protection, purification. So I'll put the link to that website, but I always think it's important to look up symbolism. And I knew luck kind of is a foregone conclusion, but I like those messages. I think they're good messages. I woke up, so 1/7, I think that's today. I woke up thinking everything I've been through has been a process for preparing our souls, our energy fields for what is to come. And there is something big coming. Our energy fields fortify us and determine our flow, our path. It projects our direction. When we sit and daydream, we create a flow of energy that projects thoughts, ideas into events. This flow of energy is affected by our emotions, our emotional state. We have been taught or told that these are random thoughts, daydreams, fantasies, but that is untrue. These thoughts, inspired by our emotions, create the reality in which we live. It is natural that beings that carry the depth and breadth of emotion would affect, create, or exist from this place. This truth is what makes maintaining balance so important. A balanced energy field creates the most effective or productive reality. Our energy fields will draw to us the reality we have prepared ourselves for. This is not a collective decision. It is an individual inevitability directed by your path, purpose, and what most humans have come to call a soul contract. And so this part is getting into moving through transcendence, moving through tribulation, this transitional phase that we're in. Because what's coming, it's going to be a big something, and it is going to, whatever your experience is through that change, is what you've drawn to you through your words, your thoughts, your actions, your intentions. Where are you on the path of that contract? Where must you go to complete or fulfill that contract? Each individual energy will create the reality needed to fulfill their path, purpose, soul contract. That soul's energy field will vibrate at a very specific level. This vibration identifies the individual energy, where it is meant to be, and draws it to that place. This is a result of concepts known as quantum entanglement, quantum consciousness, constructive, deconstructive interference. But in reality, these are truths humanity is not ready to fully understand or access at will. When an individual vibration aligns with another, they are drawn to one another. This could be two individuals in what has become known as a twin flame journey. It could be a larger body of individuals, like a collective. These energies, vibrations are drawn to one another to create new realities in order to fulfill their path, purpose, and soul contract. And so just before the recording, let's see if there's anything. So the twin flame journey, which I'm not really big on these words, labels that have been placed, but it's kind of where we are right now. But the twin flame journey is two people who are drawn together to, I don't want to say complete a soul contract, but you're drawn together because you vibrate very similarly. And what you do is you completely mirror the other, mirror one another. And so you're drawn to one another to help each other grow and change and deal with whatever needs to be changed. Because you, if you can open yourself up to see truly the person before you, you will see that that person is a reflection of you. Okay, and that person can be your greatest teacher and your greatest healer if you allow that person into your life to be that person, to be that thing for you. Okay, and so these people, we draw these people into our lives through our vibration. Okay, same thing with what's happening now through this collective, this transition we're going through. We will draw to us people of a similar vibration, and we will create our own new community, and we will build a new earth from that place. But we will all be drawn together because we are at a similar place on our path and purpose. Okay, because that's what magnetism does. That's what the divine does. That's how we are drawn to one another. And there's all kinds of scientific concepts to try to explain that, but I don't think that that's really important or even relevant. I think that when we live from a place of goodness and we connect to that divine source and we understand our connection to the divine source, all the things that we want or desire or need to exist or to fulfill our commitments to ourselves and the divine come to us. And that's our ultimate goal, right? Why do we need to understand the mathematics behind it? Okay. So that's from a spiritual perspective. Someone who is into science or mathematics may have a different perspective. That's how they access the divine, which is completely acceptable, and I'm not here to judge or say that you're doing it wrong. But I am saying that whatever we need to fulfill our path and purpose, the first place we need to go to find out what that thing is connect to the divine. Okay? We need to connect to the divine. And it doesn't have to be through sitting and meditating. Like, I love to run, even though I haven't been able to do that for a while because I injured my knee. Run, exercise, dance, science, math. People who can sit and do math or whatever for hours, they can access that divine source through those actions because they have so much love for that thing, right? So I'm not here to judge or say that you're doing it wrong, that you can't do it that way. But I am saying we can't get hung up on different aspects. Oh, I need you to show me that in order for me to accept it. That's not where I come from. Okay? I just need to believe in myself and who I am and how I interact with the world, and then believe in the things and the people around me. That's extremely important to me. And right now the world is a shambles, and there aren't a lot of people that I resonate with. But I believe and I have faith that as I connect to the divine and as I walk my path and purpose, that this process that we're going through is going to draw more and more people to me that I resonate with. and I will have all the things I need, and I want to bring joy and happiness into my life. But it's just part of the process. This is just part of the process that we're all going through. And so just before the recording, I had information come in. There's so much energy coming in. This has been a very difficult video to make. The weight and the flow of energy is so heavy, and I clear, center, and balance my energy, and I protect my energy all the time, but it's just the weight of the planet, and it's very hard. It's been very difficult this past week. Longer, but this past week it's just gotten heavier and heavier. There is so much energy coming in trying to direct the path of Mother Earth. Not just the Cabal, Alpha Draco living from separation, Zeta Reticuli, etc. There are many other beings in the universe attempting to affect the transcendence of Mother Earth. Those who want to direct her on a path beneficial to them and their desires. And so, this is how important the transcendence of Mother Earth is. Mother Earth will affect every other world, and so there are all these energies coming in trying to affect or influence Mother Earth, so that however Mother Earth transcends, it is beneficial to them, their world, their people. Okay. Even their constellation, whatever star constellation or galaxy or whatever, it could be a larger body. It doesn't have to just be one world, but there is a lot of energy coming in trying to affect Mother Earth. The Pleiadians come to mind first. Okay, so the Pleiadians were the first thought when that information started coming in, that there are a lot of energies trying to direct Mother Earth's transcendence and affect her to benefit them. The Pleiadians were the first beings that came to mind the first beings that came to mind. This will not happen. There will be consequences for their actions. There have been consequences for their actions. So I'll just say there's so much, it's just so much weight, I can't even put it into words. And this video was very difficult to make. On many levels, getting started and just reading through the information. I mean, normally my energy is much more, my vibration's higher, or my energy, I have more energy and I feel more positive about what I'm saying, but right now there's so much weight, and it's so heavy, and that's the only words I can use to describe what I feel. The only words I could use to describe what I feel in my body. Just weight. So I'm going to take a minute, and I'm just going to clear, center, and balance my energy again. See if anything else comes. So the only thing I see is the sun, and a dragon comes flying over the top, over Mother Earth, and it looks like he's flying over my head. Like I could see him flying right over my head, and he's flying actually over Mother Earth. So maybe that's me integrated with Mother Earth. And then I'm actually also flying on the back of the dragon. I think that's it. Okay. Thank you.